Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to be teaching you some tips and tricks that I personally have learnt in my PKing experience to help you survive against PKers and PvPers, primarily around the singles plus wilderness bosses Calvarion, RTO and Spindle. Now I'm running a little bit of a risk making this video primarily because I'm teaching those that I'm hunting how to survive being hunted against people like myself. But over the past 4+ weeks now that I've been actively PKing people at these bosses, I find a lot of you out there are just letting yourselves go to waste and letting PKs get such easy kills which don't need to be happening. So I wanted to make a video and share some insight and some knowledge on what's going on and how you can better increase your chances surviving against PKers. This isn't necessarily a guide. This will be a bit more long form than my usual guide videos as I'm trying to explain a little bit more, and I want to give you guys as much comprehensive detail as possible. And before we dive further into the video, it's worth noting that when I reference a PvPer, that means specifically someone who is looking to fight other PvP players, while PKers are looking to specifically hunt people who are farming bosses or PVMing or anti-PKing in the wilderness. So a PvPer is specifically looking to fight someone who wants to fight, while a PK is looking to fight someone who's trying to boss. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys, but I'm going to go through my setup now so you know exactly what you're looking at and why I and many PKs use, not specifically this setup, but setup similar to what I have here. My risk is actually, while I'm skulled, I'm not skulled anymore. If I was skulled, my risk is about 5.4 mil. Once I've potted and got everything sorted. Obviously with my Armored Godsword +1, and I have a parchment on my Zamorak cape at the moment, even though I could just go grab a bunch of them. So I've got quite a lot more risk than most PKs might be taking out to farm these bosses. But you guys know me, I don't really care for GP. I'm very impulsive and I will absolutely throw the fuck down with a PK if the opportunity arises and I'm in a pretty decent position, feeling confident with myself. So I like to make sure that I'm prepared. But looking at the magic setup, as you can see, we've got the Tome of Fire and the Mystic Smoke Staff, which combined really help with the fire spells, but also the Mystic Smoke Staff gives 10% accuracy and damage to spells, which includes, on the standard spellbook, sorry, which includes Teleblock and Entangles. Combine that with like the Mystic Boots and the Major Inner 2 cape. It just helps me feel confident landing those extra spells to entangle those in Black D'hide, for example. Combined with things like, obviously, Barrow's Gloves, Needles No Helmet, Glory, just there's not a whole lot of risk there, but those items are good enough to help complement my magic setup, which typically, as you guessed, we are on the standard spellbook. And then over in the inventory, I've actually got the Dragon Crossbow with the Guthix D'hide, and we've got Tank Leg Switch. There is the option for a Carol's Leather Skirt, but I think it's very important to have some sort of tank with PKing setups. So if you're not going to run the skirt, you're going to want to probably run a shield. Obviously, my Armored Godsword is my +1. A super combat and ranging potion for when I have to brew down and sip up real quick. A stamina potion because you got to have your stamina. It's a no-brainer. I take about 4 Blighted Super Restores with me, and I never seem to run out or get smited even on a full PK trip. And then you kind of want to find your own balance with brews and hard food. You want to have your combo eats, of course. Anglerfish or Manta Rays with Carambuans and Sarah brews. I find this is my most comfortable setup, having 6 brews. I might even drop it to 5 brews sometimes, but when I start to fight people that are fighting back, the brews really do come in handy. So this is typically what you might be expecting when you're fighting a PK, especially if it's me that is attacking you in the wilderness, which you'll find might happen a lot on Osworlds. And finally, for pre-pot, you've got Anti-Venom, Extended Super Anti-Fire, the Saturated Heart Anglerfish with your normal super set and stamina. These are just no-brainers when you're running out there. You want to make sure you do pre-pot. Get out there. This will give you a good fighting edge, even if you just go out and PK until your Saturated Heart wears off, then come back and reset. It gives you a good fighting chance against a PvP that might try to teleblock you as well. So always make sure that you pre-pot and prepare yourself as best you can when you're going out into the wilderness. But that now leaves a very important question for all of the PVMers out there farming these bosses. How do you fight against someone like this? When someone enters your RTO cave or your Calvarion cave, how do you fight against this? It's very simple. I'm going to give you those answers now. Something you must keep in mind going forward, not just for this video, but for any time you are out in the wilderness doing these singles plus bosses or even in the rev caves, in a 1v1 where a PK is attacking you, is that it is always more gold per hour to attack the PKer and fight them back than it is to be bossing. It is always better GP per hour to be fighting back against the PK that's attacking you than it is to be killing the boss. So, how do you do that? How do you survive against a PK? What are some tips to be able to survive? Well, option 1, you can have a scout, which if you have a scout, fuck you. I'm going to kill your scout if it's in my level range. Hot tip number 2. Most PKers hunting players at these wilderness bosses are not very good at fighting back. They're hoping to just land the teleblock, entangle you, and just hope that you take up the ass until you die. So as a result, I highly recommend taking a heavy ballista with dragon javelins out with you, or even a dragon crossbow and a spirit shield with some bolts. Something that doesn't increase your risk dramatically, especially if you're doing something like Calvarion where you're meleeing and you're macing. Have a ranged weapon with you. Or at the very least, absolute very least, take Mystic top, bottom, and just a dead-ass, like, water battle staff. My bank is a mess, sorry. Like, if you just take a dead-ass staff, like a water battle staff, it's 9k, Mystic top, Mystic bottom, and a bunch of these sacks, like 50 fucking entangle sacks and 10 teleblock sacks, and you understand the spellbook. Don't do this counter venge PKing thing. Throw the teleblock at the PKer. Throw the entangle. If you need to, entangle, stand under them and log out, or entangle and try to hide behind a tree and log out. And it is absolutely worth remembering that these PKs are skulled and risking a hell of a lot more than you. Once they're teleblocked and you're entangling them and you're rag bolting them down, the stakes are immediately higher for them than they were anticipating going into that fight. I can count on one hand how many times a PVMer that I have tried PKing has tried at least to teleblock me. In fact, I don't even think it's more than like 3. I have, let me show you my key count. Sorry, this is a slight flex. In 4 weeks, I've had 240 keys. 240 kills, 124 mil in loot. I think there has been maybe 2 or 3 times that a PVMer has actually teleblocked me. Most people are venge PKing with like or venge anti-PKing with a Void Waker or a AGS. I think you should be teleblocking, 100%. Remove the ability for me to get away from the fight with a one-click teleport. If you teleblock me and I'm in trouble, I can't just get the fuck out. Especially if I start missing those freezes. Absolutely, you should carry teleblocks with you as a PKer, as a PVMer, sorry. If a PKer starts a fight on you, throw that fucking teleblock back. Absolutely. Put on the mage gear, teleblock, start rag bolting, entangle. Now, I know that a lot of you are going to be panicking and misclicking and all that stuff. Just camp augury. Camp augury, watch what they're attacking you with and change your prayer based on it. And just put your mage gear on, land the teleblock, put your tankier gear on, and just hit them with the crossbow bolts. That will do more damage, especially if you're frozen. That will do more harm to them than good, because the more that you damage them, the more that they're eating, the more that they're slowing down, and the more that they're spending and trying to risk to be able to actually kill you. And I'm telling you, if you get that teleblock off and they really don't like have a great sense of competitive PvP, they can blunder really quickly. They will start to stress as much as you can. And the more confident you are with throwing the teleblock and putting the pressure on them, the more success you're going to find with that fight. So absolutely take the teleblock out there with you and throw it at them. Make sure you have Mystic Gear so it lands at least, or you have a good chance of it landing at least. And the XP drop for a teleblock is 95 magic XP, not 84. So make sure you see the 95 XP drop, you know they're teleblocked. If they have Protect from Mage up, it's half a teleblock, which means it's 2.5 minutes. If they didn't have Protect Mage up at the time, it's a 5-minute teleblock. That's a long fucking time. Now, we're actually going to go out to the wildy for the rest of these hot tips, so I will be pre-potting and running out there, but I'm actually going to run out this way this time. Keep Protect item on at all times. Now, there's a plugin that you need to have. It is called Wilderness Multi-Lines. What this does is it marks the wilderness where the multi-lines are. So, if I step over this line, I'm now in multi-combat. Now, a lot of the time with these bosses, it's not really something you need to worry about. But there has been times where I've been fighting PVMers and they've had friends out here to anti-PK running over this line. Just in general in the wilderness, having the multi-line plugin can save your life. Because if you don't know about the multi-lines, you can absolutely just get cleaned the fuck up by stepping over the line, getting caught, and everyone's just going to dogpile you. So Wilderness Multi-Lines is an absolute lifesaver, and I highly recommend having that plugin enabled. Combo eating is the 4th tip. You know how combo eating works. You can just eat a hard food, then a Caramboan straight after. You'll eat 2 pieces of food in 1 game tick, which in this case would be 40 health. What you can actually also do is go hard food, Sarabrew, Caramboan. So if you get down, if PK hits a big spec on you, like a 70 with an AGS and leaves you on 20 health, you'll actually heal 56 health, I believe. I don't know the math on that. And that's absolutely something you should remember when you're in these fights. So you don't want to go through all your hard food in one sitting. You do want to be careful and try to preserve your food. So that is something worth remembering, that you can combo eat, even if you just save a Caramboan and go for the rest of your hard food when you're in a longer fight trying to survive, just to get that combo eat off when you absolutely need to. One thing you should always keep in mind is what level wilderness you're in. Level 29 wilderness here. Remember, level 95 to 126. If I'm fighting someone and they're level 96, all they have to do is run south to where I can no longer hit them, which would be right here, and I can't attack them anymore. You'd be surprised how many PKers or how many PVMers don't realize this. You're doing a wildy boss and you're just running back and forth through a cave when you just need to run south, like by 2 wildy levels or by 10 wildy levels. It's not a whole lot of running, and you could just get out of the fight. Remember your wilderness level, remember your combat level, and just note the PKers level when you can. If you see that they're a really high level compared to you, take the chance and run south. Try not to run left and right too much, as it can cause you to lose that gap. Running south, especially if you get gap on your PK, is the best way to just get away from them and get to the lower wilderness to escape. Now, one thing that really grinds my gears as a PKer is kiting. And this area specifically is why I'm here to show you. The amount of times I've had a PVMer while I'm just splashing entangles on, it just runs through here. Buildings like this, running around corners, getting gap on me like this. So I'm close enough for them to entangle, but they are running around these corners so quickly that I can't get a straight line of sight. It's all that they're doing, and then they're hitting the logout button. Just do this, run around like this, and they just spam the logout button, and they get out. Kiting people like this around obstacles can absolutely work and help. Don't do it just around like 2 or 3 trees, but buildings like this in the Spindle area specifically, it works the charm on. It's a really good spot to be able to do that. Run around and just keep spamming the logout button, and you should be able to log out before one of the NPCs rag you to keep you in combat. And finally, the biggest and best mistake that I see PVMers making, and it's so funny. I see PVMers trash talking me, saying that I'm shit, I'm a rat, I'm a dog for PKing them, and they're teleblocked. And if you're teleblocked, you cannot enter the Ferox Enclave. If you're teleblocked, you cannot enter the Ferox Enclave. So don't try that. If you're teleblocked, run. Run south. Fight back when you're entangled if you need to. Entangle them and run. Whatever you can do to fight back or survive. Don't run to the doors and try to get in. I had some guy absolutely fucking spit the dummy at me because he couldn't get into the Ferox Enclave because he was teleblocked. He thought he was getting away and he was fucking fuming. So, if you're teleblocked, you can't get into the Ferox Enclave. Don't even fucking try. Now I'm going to go through the 3 different bosses, starting off with RTO, on just a few tips on how you can survive against PKs and what I hate as a PK when it comes to fighting you fuckers in there, because sometimes that boss is... RTO, in my opinion, is the boss that's most likely to kill either the player, the PK, or the PVMer. Like, RTO is such a wild card. Now, RTO can be used against you or in your favor. If I go in here and there's someone in here, okay, I'll give you an example PK if we find someone, or at least an example attempt. I'm going to enter instantly and just teleblock anyone that I see. Okay, I can't teleblock him anyway. So we'll use him as an example. We'll take a bit of damage and use him as an example. So, what will happen is I will typically teleblock him and freeze him. And if I get the freeze on him and RTO closes the distance on him, I will then, if RTO has attacked me and he's attacked me, if this player, has attacked me, then I can start attacking RTO. And I will actually, okay, interesting. I will actually land the freeze on RTO. And if you stack RTO, freeze him on top of the player, it's consistent melee damage, which can just buckle you instantly, okay? It can absolutely fuck you. However, it can also fuck me if I get frozen on RTO. So it's a double-edged sword. He can absolutely shred. You have to be very careful. Now, let's say that I got the teleblock on you, but I didn't get the freeze and you escaped the cave. Most people run south like this. They'll either go back in the cave and try to get a gap and then run south from me like this. This is not what I think you should do. I don't think you should run this way at all. I think you should run. Let's go back to the cave. Sorry, this is a really poor example. I don't script my videos or plan this out. I'm just kind of winging it as I go along. I think, say you exit the cave. I got the teleblock on you, but I didn't freeze you. Run this way. Run here, and you could use this area to try and get some obstacles between me and yourself so that I can't get the entangle on you because I'm around all these corners. And then spam the logout button and get the logout, okay? There's trees here, all these walls. Run around. Now, it's not always going to be effective, but it can definitely increase your chances of getting away, because if you take the right path and you get the right amount of distance, you can absolutely get the logout. I've had it happen to me numerous times, especially if I splash on you the first time. Now, some people will jump back in the cave. I don't think it's smart, personally, for PVMers to jump back in the RTO cave. So the reason I say to not re-enter the RTO cave is simple. What's going to happen is you're going to re-enter the RTO cave. I'm going to get the freeze on you. If I land the freeze, I'm going to position myself so that you're between me and RTO, and he's going to walk either towards me or you. Doesn't matter, we're in a straight line. As soon as RTO gets to you, I'm freezing him on top of you. Now you're taking melee damage from RTO. If you play melee, then I've got free range to range or mage you at full damage potential. Or you protect what I'm hitting you with, and RTO cleans you up with a melee attack, and you just keep getting smacked, and you lose a lot of health. I don't recommend running back into the RTO room. I recommend running from RTO's cave here, Hunter's End, and running and using this area to try and kite your way out. Even if you can land a freeze on someone, you could easily land... Oh, I should just go back. But what you could do... Fuck. Alright, give me a sec. This video is so poorly laid out. Like, I'm literally just winging this as it goes along. So I'm sorry if this doesn't make sense. Please comment down below if it's like not helping you at all or if this is poorly done. This is the blessing and the curse of not being able to... or not scripting my content. It's because, like, my brain is... I'm too autistic for that shit. But I feel like I can just make it work. So what you're going to do is, like, if you freeze someone out here, okay? If I'm standing on this tile here, alright? If I'm standing here or anywhere, it doesn't matter where. Okay, you freeze me. I'm on here, you land the freeze on me. All you have to do is run here, stand here, spam the log out button. You got all these trees, all these walls, all these different areas to be able to escape me. This is a good area to try and just get the kite, get the freeze, and escape. You should be taking freezes and teleblocks with you when you're wildy bossing. Even if you don't want to fight back with a crossbow, take Mystic, top, bottom, staff, and sack. Get the freeze, get the teleblock, get the fuck out. That is all you need to do. And you will survive a hell of a lot more of your PK encounters in the wilderness. Next up, we're going to go to Calvarion, which, in my opinion, I think would be the easiest boss for PVMers to escape. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think so. I think it's easier for you guys to get a gap, provided I'm a dickhead, I think. Of all three, it's easiest for you guys to survive, and it's the boss that's least likely to kill you, but all three bosses, I think, have a pretty decent chance at killing the PVMer. Calvarion is least likely to kill the PKer, to be honest. But what you're going to do here, we'll see if anyone's in here. I don't know. But I'm going to pray Smite here, go over the teleblock. Okay, no one's in here. We're going to pray Melee, and we're just going to dance around, and I'm just going to explain what I would do. So I would get the teleblock on you in here, and go for the freeze. If I freeze you in here, you'll probably run into the exit. You're just going to be taking damage, okay? You can fight back and whatever, but for the most part, as a PK, I'm just damaging you, and I'm likely stepping in and then stepping away from you to get more lightning bolts around your position, but you're just taking consistent floor damage and stomp damage from Calvarion, maybe even the dogs if they've been summoned at the time that I come in. Now, if you get out of the cave, I personally recommend entering the cave again immediately and running south. You can wait for me to come out of the cave, but it's all about anticipating and, I guess, trying to outplay the other person, right? Some PKs you'll be able to anticipate, some people you won't. Like, it'll just depend on what that person's doing. But I think this cave, because you spawn in the middle of this cave and it's such a short run, it is so much easier here to get a gap on the PK. And also, what you'll notice is if I jump in, sometimes it doesn't work so much with the dogs, but if there's no dogs, I will take 0 damage. I won't be in combat doing this. I'll be running through constantly, like this, run through. Other than that dog hitting me, if there was no dog there, I could just get the log. Now, if you find that the PK is dropping into the room as you're at the door and you're leaving, that is a good time for you to run. I think it is best for you to run up and north here, because this gives you the advantage of the gate to be able to get the log on people, because they have to close this distance and go around the obstacle of the gate to be able to get the log on you. But it also might help to just run up to this tree or even these trees up here rather than a straight line. A lot of people run up here. Up this area here. This is not like, this is an open field. You want to have obstacles that cause me to path around to find you. Like if you're standing here, if you run to this spot, I have to literally run to this tile to be able to cast a spell on you. Get to these sort of tiles and hide. Another option people take is running south. A lot of people run south. If you run south this direction, you're kind of just running into open multi-combat field for a while. But you can tank it. A lot of people do tank it and get to these trees and run south. I've had a lot of people find success just getting away from me running in this direction. As for running towards the Frox Enclave, it's a bit, I don't know. I don't see a lot of people having success. I don't really know why. I guess the people that I've fought in that area are just kind of shit, but there's not really a lot of, there's not enough vegetation to be able to hide from PKs. Another thing is this fucking ladder. This place sucks ass. If you make it to this ladder from any boss, you'll pretty much just climb up, climb up, climb up, climb up, climb down, do whatever. Don't go to the top and hide, because I'll find you up there and smack you. Just climb up, climb down, and keep going until you can log out. Fuck that ladder. That place sucks ass. You're an asshole if you use that ladder. 100%. If you can make it to that tower, you got a good chance of escaping. For the most part, guys, remember the example I just gave you for Calvarion, for example, is if I do freeze you and teleblock you inside the Calvarion room, that's your time to fight back. When you're frozen and you can't move, that's your time to fight back. Get the teleblock off, get the crossbow off, eat some food, try to do what you can to make it harder for me to keep on the DPS, break my momentum. If you hit me, if you do damage to me, that you can break the cycle of momentum and you can then get some traction on being able to survive. Oh, sorry, I should probably mention this now, although it's a bit late. Don't use Dragon Fire Bolts. Where are they? The Dragonstone Bolts E, don't use those. Dragonstone Bolts E are not worth your time because most PKs will be prepared with a extended super anti-fire, which means they don't work at all. And if the person you're Dragonstone bolting is praying mage, they also don't work. So, and if they're praying range, it's reduced damage. So they're really only effective against players that are praying melee. It's not really worth it when diamond and opal bolts can provide a much higher and consistent rate of damage. So don't use Dragonstone bolt tips, use diamond or opal depending on your preference and crossbow. I prefer diamond personally, but opals are probably better for straight up 1v1 like PvP fights. But now we're going to go to Spindle. Hopefully, I really do, again, I'm sorry for saying this constantly, but I really do hope this is making sense for you guys and giving you guys some insight to how to survive and deal with PKs in the wilderness with these bosses, because I just see a lot of people struggling and making really simple mistakes. Fighting back is key. And unfortunately, we haven't really found someone we can fight yet because those two bosses, Calvarion and R2, are littered with fucking bots. Just bots that pure accounts need to go fight. If you have a pure, please go fucking clean them up. It's a fucking problem. Spindle doesn't really have bots too much because it's a much deeper wilderness and there's a much higher risk. But Spindle, now, this boss, you know about the web. What you want to do as a PKer is freeze that motherfucker on the web. Now, what you want to do as a PVMer, I think it is best to just tank Spindle's attack. In my opinion, I don't know. It's always hard to tell, depending on how many spiderlings. If there's only 2 spiderlings out, I would tank Spindle's attacks and pray against the PvPer. In my opinion. The PKer, sorry. If I'm in there maging you and Spindle's ranging you, but there's only 2 spiderlings, I would pray mage. But for the most part, this room, I think, running back into the cave and running out is a terrible mistake. Because you spawn inside the Spindle room. Look at where you spawn. When you enter this room, let's just say this is here, okay? This is Venenatis one, but you spawn here at the top of the room and then run south. RTO, you spawn at the top and run south. But for Calvarion and Vedion, you spawn in the middle. There's less room to run, which means you have a better chance of escaping before they can get the teleport or the entangle on you. But if you run back into Venenatis lair and I run back behind you, I'm gonna catch you mid-room. Most of the time I'm gonna catch you. What you should do is do what I showed earlier in the video and try to get to these buildings and run and kite through the buildings. Like that is, you have no idea how effective doing that is. It pisses me the fuck off when people do it. Don't run around and go south here. There's nowhere for you to hide. I'm in a straight line, I'm gonna beam you down. Don't run north because it's more wilderness level for you to escape from. I don't recommend running south through here and then out to the Green Dragons because it's the same as running this way. I recommend using this house to kite and get away from people. That, in my experience as a PK, has been where people have found the most success getting away from me. Now, I'm going to go in here and give you an example PK. Hopefully there's someone in here. Oh, of course. And the zombie hit me, so I need to just get the fuck out. Man, these worlds are fucking dead ass today. This is crazy. What is it? What time is it? It's 4 PM in Australia right now. I don't know where people are. We'll go for one world. We'll hop around and see if we can find someone in Spindle because normally that's where most of the money I think is too as well for PKs. I'm hoping that this video at least gives some assistance to those that are wildy bossing and having trouble against PKs and help you survive a little bit more. Man, these worlds are dead. God damn. Because I find a lot of people are just making mistakes, and I mean I fought someone the other night on a 2000 total world. He was max combat in Missouri with a web weaver bow, killing RTO, and he just ran. He would just run south, and he started running sideways. I killed him. I got 1.7 mil off of him. Here we go. Got the teleblock. He's just AFK. He's not even paying attention. Look at this. Okay, he's gonna melee me back. Is he gonna have a ranged weapon? Does he have a ranged weapon? He does. Okay, here we go. We're gonna anti-PK. All right. Probably gonna have a Void Waker as well, I reckon. Let's find out. Okay, we're gonna mage him while Spindle melees or ranges. I'm not sure. I'm getting absolutely fucked here though, it's kind of toxic. Here we go. Okay, this is not good. Oh. This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him, goddamn! Fuck me, look at that boy. It's huge!